Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 323rd ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the MSP studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cameron. It's Thanksgiving season.
Oh, yeah.
No work for the next few days.
Oh, yeah.
At least for me. If you have to work in the next couple of days, anybody out there, I'm sorry. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's time for...
Should never have to work.
Should never have to work, ever.
Yeah. It's been a good week. Mizzou basketball won. Mizzou football won. Kendrick Lamar dropped a new album. I was pretty excited for that.
How many times have you listened through that?
Oh, probably 6 times.
What do you think?
Really?
I really, really like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some absolute bangers.
Yeah, I've listened to it a couple times. I really like it.
Great stuff. Drew Lock is probably going to start a football game tomorrow on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew Lock was the third string quarterback for the New York Giants. He should have definitely been the second string.
Should have been the starter.
He seemed to think that he was second string the whole time.
Right.
Yes, but I think the Giants are trying to lose games.
Right.
But old Tommy DeVito, who was second string, I think had some weird injuries pop up or something. I don't know.
Karma.
Exactly. So
Ball,
Drew Lock,
the ball don't lie.
Exactly.
the true prince, will get his chance, and he is going to air it out because that's the only thing he knows how to do.
There's Drew. Throw it up to Malik Neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
Throw it sideways to Wandale Robinson.
Oh, yeah, that's all they do.
He can do that. We'll be rooting for Drew. What else is going on? Just thankful to all the listeners, all the viewers.
Absolutely.
Appreciate all of you. So we're gonna talk about this big win over Mississippi State and one more game left in Mizzou's regular season for football. Before we do all that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review. We've been getting emails from folks. We've been getting people reaching out, just being thankful for us. Just some mutual thanks happening.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Yeah, thanks for all the kind words. It really does mean a lot, and I know these next few weeks will be a little bittersweet. But knowing that we played a very small part in some of your lives out there and some of your routines and all that stuff, it's been really, really cool to hear about.
Wonderful, wonderful stuff. So Mizzou beat Mississippi State 39-20. And first road SEC win of the season. This was a little bit of a weird game. Mizzou started out doing nothing until Dalen Carnell got that scoop and score for the touchdown. And then the rest of the first half was all Mizzou. Basically, the rest of the game was all Mizzou. There's one little spot in the second half where Mississippi State maybe could make it a game, but they weren't able to. It went into halftime 28-13, was feeling really good. Then came out second half, had that 15-play, almost 9-minute drive, but that ended in a field goal. A little bit later, they had a 14-play, 83-yard drive for 8 minutes and 43 seconds. That one ended in a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so those two drives combined was most of the second half.
Yeah. Mississippi State was really exactly who we thought they were. And we talked about a little bit about it last week. When they score, they don't do it that often, but when they do, it's really quick.
Mm-hmm.
They do have some explosive plays, but they just do not, in any circumstance, control the time of possession. And that's something Missouri does really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri's top 5 in the country in time of possession. So it was kind of a match made in heaven for Missouri in that way, where they were just really able to control the tempo of the game.
Yeah, I mean, they put a stat up at one point late in into the fourth quarter where it was Missouri's time of possession was 21 minutes and Mississippi State's was literally 2.
Yeah,
it was just ridiculous. And it was finally we got another just absolutely efficient game from Brady Cook. Over 13 yards per attempt for him on just 20 attempts. And Luther Burden got a touchdown. The running game got going. the Mississippi State running game did better than I expected, with them not having the best offensive line, but they were able to get some stuff going in the running game. And I think, actually going back to the South Carolina game, we've been starting to see a little bit of a trend of, and maybe this is wishful thinking on my part as we get close to the end of the season here, but looking at Missouri's running backs, obviously we'll lose Noel and Carroll. They're out of eligibility. And it feels like there's potential for it to be Roberts and Kewan Lacey as like the 1-2 punch moving forward. And that would be pretty, I mean, I definitely could see them adding some upperclassmen in the transfer portal. But part of me, with how different the offense is going to look next year, part of me wants to see them kind of just like go with the younger guys and just roll with them and watch them develop over the next 3 seasons.
Let's go with the grassroots effect.
Yeah, that could be really exciting.
Yeah.
But you could bring in seniors next year with just 1 year left, or just one guy to kind of anchor it, and still they would have 2 seasons after that to kind of run the show in the running game. But that's maybe looking a little too far ahead. But this late in the season, it's easy to kind of, you look at which young guys are playing and kind of start to imagine what next year might look like. And I feel like those 2 guys at the running back position, I see a lot of upside there. Mm-hmm. The fact that they are getting in games this season, I think it means the staff feels good about what they're bringing to the table, especially Roberts in pass protection.
Yeah. Yeah, Roberts has played a lot in some key snaps. He's really kind of carved out that third down pass blocker or pass protection role, and then sometimes they'll hand it off to him kind of on a third and medium, and he's picked up some of those. I'm not sure Roberts has like the home run, consistently the home run talent that like you want to see. I think Lacey could have that. Yeah. He could definitely develop into that guy, but I think there will be a 100% chance they add somebody in the transfer portal, but I think we'll still see a lot of those 2 guys.
Lacey also just looks big.
Yeah,
for a true freshman.
Yeah,
he looks like a big running back. Roberts had 5 carries for 29 yards against Mississippi State. I think Lacey had 1 carry for 6 yards. Overall, though, like those extended drives, I mean, 8+ minutes twice in the second half, still not ending that first drive of the second half in a touchdown. That's what made it where Mississippi State had a chance to get back in it. And that really felt like if you're able to cap off that, if they marched down the field the way they were, that was going to be a 10+ minute drive that if they end that in a touchdown, that feels like game over.
Oh, for sure.
So it's always disappointing when they have to settle for field goals like that, when it seemed like they were kind of getting whatever they wanted to end the first half. Kyle, I want to complain about something real quick, and that is the Mississippi State cowbells. This is probably a very common complaint of Mississippi State opponents, but what is this exactly? Like, if you're bad enough, you can just bring noisemakers to the game, and that, like, your tradition is just bringing a musical instrument that all the fans play during the game. And we just let that happen.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, we never play at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit jarring.
Yeah.
Like, what is that noise?
Yeah.
I thought
as soon as it started, it's like, oh yeah, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
This again.
Yeah. I thought it was a little bit like high school football-y.
Yes. Agree.
And I thought that it was bizarre. Like, you couldn't really hear the crowd noise on TV. You could just hear the cowbells, which made it seem a lot less intimidating, I would think.
Well, and then they would like show a wide shot of the crowd, and it wasn't full. So it's like I don't know. I just think it's just like, not even joking. It's just kind of insane. Like, do they allow like vuvuzelas or like any other? Like, why wouldn't a team just be like, oh yeah, we do.
We're gonna make vuvuzelas our thing.
Yeah,
now.
That's our tradition, and
and whether you like it or not,
we blow those things and make as much noise as possible. I just feel like
what's stopping another fan base from just like air horns or something?
Yeah. Where do we draw the line there between like props versus like musical instruments? Everybody's gonna have a snare drum, and we're just gonna be pounding on those things all game long.
Everybody bring a tuba.
The announcers even said at one point, they were like, and now they're not allowed to do that during the snap. But then after,
really?
Yeah, that's what the announcer said.
There's rules for when they can,
I guess,
they can ring them.
Yeah. But they were definitely doing
wow.
it during the snap. Not that
course.
it mattered, but that's got to be it though. Like if you're bad enough, they're just like, whatever.
Did they do it with the basketball games too? Now, I could see that actually being like disruptive.
Yes, that would be insane.
Inside of a closed stadium.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. Someone help us figure out what's the deal with the cowbells. Why is that allowed? Why is that a thing? Why do we put up with it?
Do they just hand them out at the door?
Yeah. Do you have to bring your own? Is it ever free? The first home game of the year is free cowbell night.
BYOB, bring your own bell.
There you go. I hate the cowbells. It needs to stop. If I was commissioner...
Wow, you think you have the authority to tell other fan bases what they get to do.
If I was commissioner, I'd put a stop to that in a hurry.
Commissioner Cam.
Yeah. Anyway, Mizzou wins 39-20, which is, I think, exactly what we hoped would happen there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put up some touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the slow start was a little frustrating, but that's kind of what we do. Once we had the Dalen Carnell play out of the way, it took a heroic defensive play to get us going, but once that happened, it felt like the floodgates opened a little bit.
And knowing how it ended, obviously, you can be like, well, they were gonna figure it out eventually.
They were establishing the run.
Yes, they were establishing the run. But man, just like in that moment when they go 3 and out to start the game,
And the other teams getting pumped up and stuff. It's
yes,
like, okay,
how much of this can we withstand?
yeah.
And so, Kyle, that got me thinking. And you can jump back to this game in particular if you think of anything else, of course. But that got me thinking about all the slow starts that we seem to have, and I wanted to see just exactly how many of those we've had under Coach Drinkwitz. So I went back and looked at every single SEC game in the Drinkwitz era, going back to 2020.
It's a lot of games.
That's 41 games. And I looked at Mizzou's opening offensive possession in all 41 games. And I wanted to see, is this trend real, or do we just hyper-focus on 3 and outs? It feels real.
Yeah.
But let's see if the stats back it up.
How bad are we really?
Yes. And what I found was in those 41 games, so 41 opening offensive possessions for Missouri
Against SEC opponents.
Missouri has punted the ball 23 times. So 23 out of 41 are punts.
It's like 60%.
That is 56%. And of those 23 punts, so this is not additional drives, but of those 23 punts, 16 of those were 3 and outs.
Wow.
So 39% of Mizzou's first offensive possessions in SEC games under Coach Drinkwitz, 39% of those have been 3 and outs.
Jeez.
There's only 6 of those possessions have ended in touchdowns. So that's 15%. Only 7 have ended in field goals. So actually 1 more field goal than touchdown, which I don't think would surprise anybody.
Yeah.
To know that they've made more field goals than touchdowns. There's also 4 interceptions in there and 1 turnover on downs. I was trying to look for different ways to break this down. And one interesting thing I found is if you look at the yards gained in these first offensive possessions, across all 41 possessions, there's an average of 26 yards per series.
Across all the seasons?
Across all seasons. Now, there's an outlier in there in that last year, 2023, they actually averaged 45 yards per first possession of the game. So obviously that was a special season. They won a lot more games and were more successful. That was the most successful year under Drinkwitz on the first possession of the game. I also looked at wins and losses. So in the 23 games that they punted on their first possession, Missouri was 9-14 wins and losses in those games. And then hopefully the math checks out here. But in games that they scored, they were 10-4. So, I mean, logically that makes sense. If you score your first possession, you're, sort of starting things on the right foot.
Yeah.
And more likely to win games.
And there's a decent chance that in those games that they're scoring first, they're maybe playing weaker competition generally.
Yeah.
But there's probably some mixing and matching going on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was definitely multiple seasons we were getting a touchdown against Vanderbilt. Multiple Vanderbilt games start with a touchdown. The LSU game last year and actually the Georgia game last year were 2 touchdown games that were losses. Also, interestingly, no touchdowns this season in SEC play so far.
Wow.
On the first possession.
Wow.
So we're still waiting for that. I think there's one other season back in 2021, 8 games, 5 punts, no touchdowns.
Jeez. Yeah. So you said last season we averaged like 45 yards on our first possession of the game.
Yeah.
That was our best season by far under Drinkwitz.
Yeah.
What is this season's average yardage?
This season is just over 17 yards per series. And that's right in line with, that's the worst actually of his tenure so far. That's right in line with 2021 when there was no touchdowns. That was 18 yards per series. 2022, we had 1 touchdown, 18.5 yards per series. And this year, just over 17 yards, no touchdowns so far.
This is really some fascinating research that you've got here. I wish I knew like the industry standard.
Yes.
That would maybe be like the interesting benchmark to compare to. Like what are most teams doing? You're telling me out of 41 first possessions across multiple seasons, like 4 or 5 seasons here, like only 6 of those games were scoring a touchdown on our first drive of the game. That's absolutely wild. It's concerning.
Yeah, it is concerning. And we talked about it last week that in the press conference, Coach Drinkwitz was asked about the slow starts, and he didn't really have an answer.
Yeah, it's like we're not just dreaming that up. We're not like being biased here or looking
overly
at it
critical or anything.
Overly critical.
Yeah.
Yes, this is objectively happening.
And Coach Drinkwitz was basically like, at least we're better in the second half.
Yeah, he didn't have an answer.
So one other thing that I thought was interesting here is we have this year and last year, the team has been a lot better at overcoming those slow starts. So in the first 3 seasons, in the games where you don't score in the first possession, Missouri was 4-12. In the last 2 seasons, this year and last year, they're 6-1.
So they are overcoming adversity better.
Yeah.
In these last 2 seasons.
How much better could the records be if you're not starting out in a hole? Although 2 of the 2 losses last year, they score a touchdown on the first drive.
That's true.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just at least in the NFL specifically, like a lot of coaches will script their first drive. So
you got to think they're doing that, right?
You would think so. So that's what would make you think. Generally, first drives of the game are successful because of that.
Right. We would want to see the national stats on that for sure, or at least SEC. But I just manually went through and looked at the play-by-play for all these games.
Please do not manually calculate everybody's.
I'll just do all of the SEC for the last 5 seasons.
All right, we'll see you next year.
So it's not in our heads. We kind of knew it wasn't, but the stats show.
I think I'd like to tweet that out. See if we can. See if we can get an answer from Coach Drinkwitz on Twitter on that.
He might respond directly to you.
Yeah, I don't know if I want that. we want answers.
But so they overcome the slow start, get the big win, first road win in SEC play this year, and sets up a game against Arkansas to close out the regular season. A few news things in between the 2 games. Obviously, it's going to be senior night. and it was announced, or I can't remember who tweeted it out, but Connor Tollison obviously was out for the season. There's been not anything official from the team, but it's been reported that he has told the team he will be returning for his senior year next year.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that was really at the forefront of people's minds about like whether Connor Tollison would be back or not. But he was playing really well until his injury, and was grading out as like one of, if not the top center in the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the first thing my mind went to was staying versus NFL.
Right.
But, in this modern day of college football or college athletics in general, it is good to get confirmation like that someone's not going to transfer.
Oh yeah, if we could get confirmation of who is and isn't going to be back, like by the end of December every year.
Yeah, that makes the coach's job a lot easier.
Yeah. And that's going to be huge. Again, I mentioned next year we're going to have kind of obviously a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Luther Burden, Theo Weiss are going to be gone.
Mm-hmm. And Drake Heismeyer stepped in and played really, really well for Tollison. But I'm pretty sure Heismeyer's a senior as well, so he's going to be gone next year. So it's great that we're getting Tollison back.
But I think he's going to be, at least for me personally, I think he's the guy that we're going to be needing to kind of like anchor the offense next year and get in a rhythm with whoever the quarterback is.
Yeah.
And, keep everything as similar, or keep as much continuity as possible with the offensive line there.
Yeah.
Also, Luther Burden will be participating in the senior night activities. Coach said to give him give him flexibility or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just in case he is leaving, he will feel like he had the chance to say goodbye.
Right.
Which every single person listening to this podcast knows he's almost certainly gone.
Yeah.
As we would wish he would do. Like we want him to be gone and pursue his NFL career.
Yeah. When you get a 5-star player and they contribute for 3 seasons, and one of those years you win 10 games and win a Cotton Bowl, then you get your 3 years out of them. They go to the NFL and be a first-round draft pick. Like you take that every single time.
Yeah. And be a spokesperson for the program.
Exactly.
From the NFL.
Yeah. And then a little bit of sad news. Mookie Cooper had surgery, season-ending surgery. He'd been out for a couple games, and we still, even the articles and stuff I was reading, his actual injury has not been disclosed. So unless people know from rumor or something, we don't actually know what his injury was, but he had season-ending surgery, which also ends his Mizzou career, and which is, I don't know, that's sad. I'd love to see him play one more time, but we're going to be left with that huge play in the Auburn game this year. And it feels like 3 or 4 times maybe where he came up with a huge clutch play on 3rd down or breaking a big gain. Of course, not getting in the end zone. We all wish a touchdown for him every single game, but he was a huge contributor to the offense. And for him to, Coach Drinkwitz talked about him just kind of owning his role and not being any kind of like diva wide receiver who gets upset when the ball's not thrown to him. He was always ready, always sure-handed. Yeah, we're going to miss him.
Yeah, for sure. He was one of those first guys to kind of come back home early in Drinkwitz's tenure, and he talked about that a little bit in his press conference a couple days ago. That at that time, it was kind of like selling guys on the dream of what Mizzou could look like, but it didn't look like that at the time. And so it took, Luther Burden or Mookie Cooper or some of those guys, a few years ago to kind of take a leap of faith a little bit that Missouri was heading in the right direction under some new leadership. And obviously it looks a lot more like Coach Drinkwitz had what his plans were for Missouri. It looks a lot more like that now than it did when Mookie Cooper decided to come back home. So
for sure.
He said he really appreciated Mookie Cooper and kind of taking that leap of faith with him. And yeah, you're right. I think maybe the last time he touched the ball was that huge play that basically helps them come back against Auburn.
Yeah. And that brings us to the end of the regular season here with the rivalry, the Battle Line rivalry matchup at home against Arkansas. And once again, another Mizzou football regular season has flown by. And we're sitting here with the opportunity to win the 9th game. And while that's, we're not in the college football playoff conversation and not getting back-to-back double-digit win seasons, maybe with a bowl game. But regardless, I feel like this team and Coach Drinkwitz and the staff and everybody is going to have them up and ready to go for this game. They love those rivalry games. And beating Arkansas, like we've been pulling the best players out of Arkansas come to Mizzou in recent years and just beat them pretty handily last year when it was kind of like we've had this special season. Now here's this one last little hurdle to get over, this potential upset with Arkansas, and they just made it look easy last year. But Arkansas is 6-5 on the year, 3-4 in SEC play. They did have that huge win over Tennessee. They won that game 19-14. Since then, their last 2 games, they played Louisiana Tech last week, but before that, their last conference games, they lost to Ole Miss 63-31, and then lost to Texas 20-10. Those were both at home. It's been an interesting year for Arkansas. They've looked pretty bad at times, but then getting that win over Tennessee,
they're one of the more confusing teams in the SEC, honestly, and that makes them a little bit scary because I think they're kind of unpredictable. They do have 3 common opponents with Missouri. They beat Auburn 24-14. They had a close game with Texas A&M. They lost 21-17, and then they blew out Mississippi State 58-25. So, but yeah, I mean, you mentioned they had a close game with Texas at home, destroyed by Ole Miss at home. So they're just kind of all over the place.
If you haven't watched much Arkansas this year, quarterback Talon Green transferred from Boise State. He's got 3,000 total yards already on the season, 20 total touchdowns, 7 of those on the ground, 9 interceptions. And then we talked about him in the preseason. Their running back, Jaquindon Jackson, interesting story with him. He was a quarterback coming out of high school, I think committed to Texas out of high school as a quarterback, then went somewhere else for a little bit, then and switched to running back at that time, and now comes to Arkansas. He's got 700 yards and 12 touchdowns on the season, and their offense is definitely their strength, and their running game in particular with Green. He's got 500 yards on the ground, and so I feel like that's what they want to lean on is like read option with Green and Jackson, get Green into open space. He can also escape the pocket and like make something out of nothing. And then that kind of opens up things in the passing game. Yeah. If they can establish the run.
Yeah. 100%. Their wide receivers are not super impressive individually, but the pure like genius of their offense and Green's talent does open up opportunities for their wide receivers to make big plays. I've been impressed with Green this season. Like he's really tall. He's like 6'5", like a pretty thin too. He's not like a super like sturdy guy necessarily, but man, he's very mobile and he will destroy you on the ground if you don't have a plan for stopping him.
Yeah, they do have senior wide receiver Andrew Armstrong, who's 6'4", 202. He's got 1,000 yards on the season. They don't have a ton. I mean, Green's only got 13 passing touchdowns, so when they get in the red zone, they're really trying to punch it in on the ground. He and Jackson combined have 19 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. Old Bobby Petrino.
Doing his thing.
He's cooking them up.
Yeah, preseason we were talking about him like taking over the head coaching job at Arkansas before the end of the year.
Yeah, that's probably what he thought was going to happen.
Yeah, but would they run it back again? I mean,
I have a hard time seeing Petrino staying put, honestly.
Yeah,
but you never know.
How old is he? He's got to be.
He's definitely I got to think he's in his mid to upper 60s at this point.
He is 63.
Okay.
Not as old as I was thinking.
Yeah. He's got another couple of trips in him at different spots.
He's been making headlines for like
Do you think he wants
20 years now.
Do you think he wants to be a head coach again?
Surely he does.
I guess. I don't know.
What are you even motivated by at that point?
Sam Pittman is such an interesting just phenomena to me, where I don't know how he keeps landing these great coordinators, but I've always said, like on this podcast, even publicly, I've said I just don't think he's that special of a coach. But so like when Barriota moves on, or whenever Kendall Briles moves on, or whoever else, like I just don't see this working out long term. But he just keeps like filling these roles with these like absolutely some of the best play callers in the game for these coordinator roles, and they kind of do really well and go get other jobs.
Yeah.
And right now that's Bobby Petrino.
Right. Yeah. And and I don't know. When your specialty is offensive line, when you're head coach and your specialty is offensive line, that's just like such an interesting niche that, I mean, I don't know. You just got to fit the pieces around you, I guess. Yeah. And if you're Bobby Petrino, though, you're like, okay, if you've got the offensive line locked down, let me handle the quarterbacks and the wide receivers, then we can make something happen here.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he's kind of unlocked I'll just be the good old boy who kind of connects with the recruits, connects with the families, plays the CEO role, and you guys be the X and O's guys. And he's done that perfectly.
Yeah. Defensively, though, they've taken a step back. They are last in the SEC in passing yards per game allowed. So teams have been dicing them up a little bit. A huge chunk of that came in that Ole Miss game, though, where they scored 63 points.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about, like, Mizzou has scored 60-plus in their history that we can remember. But I was just, like, thinking about, man.
Delaware State.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, didn't Missouri put 60 on Tennessee one time?
I know they did it on us like twice.
They did it on us.
I know we scored over 50 with Drew Lock. I don't know what the final score was, though.
I don't know. I was just trying to think about what the Missouri Tigers would look like scoring 60 points in a conference game.
I'm pretty sure Josh Heupel scored 60 plus on us at least once. Yeah, which I hate to even say that out loud.
Yeah, but Ole Miss did that to Arkansas this year. And, I just feel like Missouri's offense is going to have an advantage here. You're playing at home. It's senior night. I think Arkansas will do some frustrating things offensively and score a little bit, but I think their defense will let them down.
What's weird is, like, I mean, we even talked about this last week, I think, but it just feels like we keep running into the same like archetype of quarterback.
Maybe that's just college football now.
I guess maybe so. But it's like these guys who are like who can throw it, but like they're really dangerous on the ground in different levels of athleticism. But almost every single game when we're like scouting our opponent, it kind of feels like we're talking about the same like similar style of player. But so Missouri, it feels like they're conditioned to play against this type of quarterback. Obviously. Lenora Sellers beat us to the air more than anybody expected, I think. But I think Missouri knows what they're doing at this point. I'm not too terribly worried about Green going crazy in this game. He's gonna make it. He's gonna make some plays. I fully expect him to probably have a rushing touchdown, maybe, or have some big different plays. But like over the course of the game, I think Missouri's going to do enough to slow him down to stay in front.
Yeah, and in the games that I'm looking at, like their game against Texas, I mean, he ran the ball 16 times against Texas. And I feel like they're going to respect Missouri's defense enough. Although, I don't know, they might look at that South Carolina game and go, we could take some shots here, maybe. They should do some stuff through the air. Yeah. And I just hope that I would like to see a more balanced defense from Missouri, similar to the Mississippi State game, I guess, where against South Carolina, like they shut down the run. Like Sanders did nothing. Sellers didn't do a whole lot on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then apparently that was the only thing we could do. Yeah. And got torched through the air.
Yeah. It does feel like when we've gotten beat really bad, through the air this season. It's when we didn't expect to be beat through the air,
Right.
like A&M,
Right.
South Carolina. We just have to be prepared.
Vanderbilt more than made us comfortable.
Yes. Yeah. Like we've done a great job kind of keeping those running quarterbacks from getting outside.
Yeah.
We've been good job kind of spying the quarterback, but like we got to be prepared for the pass game.
So it's like these other offenses are like, oh, we'll just take what the defense gives us. And then Missouri's like, here, take 60 yards every once in a while through the air. Take a wide receiver with nobody around him every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I feel like, Green, I feel like he doesn't do his offensive line any favors sometimes. He'll run into sacks, hold onto the ball too long and get sacked, where I feel like their offensive line is decent, if not good. But he sometimes makes mistakes that allows himself to be sacked when the offensive line is actually doing okay.
Yeah.
And so if he's throwing the ball away quickly, they're getting the ball out of his hands and they're getting, decent yardage on first down running the ball, then I think it could be a little bit of a chess match and like every drive a battle. And Missouri's really just going to have to run the ball well on their own. And they've been working in that deep ball to Marquise Johnson.
Yeah, thank goodness that made a return.
That's hit a couple times. And Luther Burden broke out a little bit against Mississippi State. So that looked good. So I feel like they can carry some of that in. I feel like it's going to be a very similar game, although Arkansas is quite a bit better than Mississippi State, I think. I don't know. You got any stats that might change my mind on any of this before I give my prediction?
Yeah, so you mentioned Arkansas's passing defense not being very good. They are last in the SEC, and they're ranked 114 in the country.
That's pretty bad.
Passing defense, so that's out of like 133. So pretty much at the bottom in passing defense. Both Missouri and Arkansas are exactly tied at number 52 in the country at sacks. So pretty similar levels of defensive lines that you'll see for Arkansas and Missouri. Arkansas is number 112 in the country in sacks allowed, which you did allude to. Green sometimes just kind of getting out of the pocket and running around and getting sacked. So it's not necessarily an offensive line thing, but still is an opportunity. And then one other thing is Arkansas is not very good in the turnover game. They're number 110 in the country in turnover margin at -7. So definitely some opportunities to get some interceptions in this game.
Those passing yards allowed. I went back and looked at their Ole Miss game. Jackson Dart, 515 and 6 touchdowns.
That's about what Sellers did to us.
Yeah, seriously.
Jackson Dart, man, he's a good player.
Yeah. 515 yards on just 31 attempts.
I'd like to see Brady Cook do that on Saturday.
A 500-yard Brady Cook game. Let's see it. Jackson Dart, 16.6 yards per attempt.
Man,
that's insane.
Something Brady Cook's not going to do.
No. Okay, we got 13 against Mississippi State. Let's do that again. Let's get a couple turnovers. Let's get I don't know. We started the year with a Toriano Pride pick 6.
Yeah.
Let's get a Toriano Pride interception.
Okay.
And doesn't even have to be a pick 6. Let's get that interception. Let's get Brady Cook a couple passing touchdowns. Green's going to make some plays. I think they'll keep it close for the most part, but I think Missouri wins. You give your score first. I'm going back and forth here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good game. Like just from a generally entertainment standpoint, I think it's going to be more stressful than I think we want it to be. But I think there's going to be some back and forth, maybe some boneheaded mistakes from both sides, maybe. Just a classic rivalry matchup. But I think Missouri squeaks one out. I think it's 27-24.
Ooh. Okay. That's pretty close to what I wrote down, but I gave Missouri basically 2 more field goals for a score of 33-24.
Okay. I'll take that too. I want to see just another Missouri win where all of Arkansas media is melting down after the game. I enjoy that.
I think any win would just about do it.
Yeah. No matter how they win, I think
Yeah.
we'll see it.
You're almost guaranteed that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but I like, with my score predictions and stuff, I really feel like I've seen a trend this year of Missouri being up or down by 8 or 15.
Okay. In
Like-
your score predictions?
Many, many times this year, I just look at the score and it's an 8-point difference or a 15-point difference. And those are numbers that you don't usually see in football as like the score
You do
differential.
that. Yeah. Why?
I've been seeing it in real life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I keep going back to weird scores because I feel like I see it happen. Missouri missing field goals,
Yeah. Field goals have not been great.
no. What do you think about that? I feel like he's a true freshman, right? Blake Craig,
I think he's a redshirt freshman.
redshirt freshman. And I don't know. My take is he shouldn't have as many attempts as he has this year. There's a time or two a game where they should just go for it.
They're very conservative.
Yeah. So they're putting him out there
Just go for it.
as a young kid
Fourth and
who's just
short.
going to miss some kicks.
Yeah.
And I see the narrative in my head of, him as a junior and senior with the same attempts, but that percentage is dialed up a little bit
I would hope so.
and he'll be one of the best kickers in the SEC.
Does it feel like college kickers are just better nowadays than they were 5 years ago or something?
Probably.
I don't know. It feels like college kickers used to be like hilariously bad, just generally, and you could.
Well, you do hear every once in a while. Like I think I heard something earlier this year of a team like doing kicker tryouts, like in week 3, because like they didn't have anybody that could make a kick, and the coach was literally in his press conference like, "If you can kick, come to practice. We're trying to find a kicker." I think the kicker that they had went like 0 for 4. Missed the game winner or something.
That's rough.
So yeah, maybe kickers are better, but I still feel like there's a lot of college football teams and there's not enough good kickers for how many teams are out there.
It's probably true.
That's another benefit of being in the SEC. Kickers want to play in the SEC.
Kickers only play for the best.
Yes, it means more. So we're predicting a big old Mizzou win. That'll be the 9th win of the year.
How many times in a row have we beat Arkansas now?
Several.
I should have had that stat ready to go. I should just know that in my sleep.
Yeah.
They've beaten Arkansas a lot since
keep it
they
going.
joined the
Let's
SEC.
keep it going.
Keep it going. Who knows what this team looks like next year? Keep it going
Yeah.
for at least for one more year.
Yeah.
You got Brady Cook and Luther Burden and Theo Weiss. You got to win this game.
Yes. You got Nate Noel. What a repeat of 2014 this is turning out to be. That's like 2013, 2014.
Yeah. 2013 and I guess 2023 were both like very special seasons that kind of came out of nowhere.
Right.
Followed up by the next year being really high expectations, solid year.
Yeah.
That was like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like it was still good.
Yes.
But like maybe didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah.
Not, sorry. Not knowing obviously what next season has in store. Would you rather have the out of nowhere season and then it kind of tapers off, or would you rather have these last 2 seasons flipped?
I would say, I don't know. I'd probably flip them.
I might too.
But then next season, the expectation would be
yeah, if it's like a steady,
maybe even higher.
No, because
Or
I
still
mean,
about
anybody
the
that
same?
knows anything about the team, they would know that they're losing a lot of key personnel.
Yeah.
So it's like people would be realistic about it. Maybe
Like the expectations for next year would probably be.
yeah, they're going to be lower no matter what. So
it does always feel good to have that like steady progression. And obviously, that's almost never how it actually works.
Right.
But it feels like that's how it should work.
yeah,
So now we're like kind of feeling a little bit disappointed when
Right.
we wouldn't feel like that if it was flipped.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would make more sense, like especially looking at like the offensive numbers specifically and like Luther Burden stats, Brady Cook stats. It would make a lot more sense for them to be popping off for
It just
career
feels like,
years
yeah,
this year.
we just really, really smashed like the high range of outcomes last year. Is just really what it feels like, and we had some things go our way for sure.
We still got one more to go. So cherish it, and then we'll see what happens. And honestly, I mean, Luther Burden we're not in the playoff. He's probably not playing in the bowl game.
I doubt it.
So
This might be the last game Luther Burden plays.
Yeah.
For the Missouri Tigers.
So cherish it. Hold it dear. And with that, let's move on and pick some SEC games. It's rivalry week, so a lot of teams are playing good teams from other conferences, which means it's anybody's ball game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, recapping last week. Kyle and the guest pickers got 3 points. I got 4 points. And Cameron got 6 points.
Oh
go.
my gosh.
Oklahoma. I picked Oklahoma.
It's insane.
Yeah.
They destroyed Alabama.
Yep. Like it was nothing.
Like what even happened?
Alabama's offensive line isn't that great, and they just went all in. Jackson Arnold, I think, ran the ball 20 times.
Why couldn't Alabama have had a day off when Missouri came to town? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. One of these days.
Everybody plays their best game against us. That's what it feels like.
We're everybody's Super Bowl.
Okay, our season totals are KM has 71. I have 77. Kyle and the guest pickers have 80.
I made it a little bit more respectable.
You did.
I can undo it all right now, but I'm going to try not to.
Come on down.
80. That's a big number.
Yeah.
It's a lot of correct picks.
I guess.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to it. First up is Mississippi State at number 14, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 26.5-point favorite.
Who's our guest picker?
Tyler.
Welcome in, Tyler.
Welcome in, Tyler.
It's a big opportunity for you, Tyler.
Wow, this is a real showdown.
Yeah. Kyle versus Tyler.
Wow.
We're going to have some college football playoff games potentially to pick, and like the SEC championship
Yeah,
game
we need
or
to probably
something.
like decide when this thing like ends.
Not this week.
We've never done that before.
But this is not the end.
Right. So, yeah, good luck to you, Tyler. I'm rooting for you, honestly.
I'm not.
Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. I'll take Ole Miss.
Yeah, same.
Ole Miss all around. Next up is Georgia Tech at Georgia. Number 7, Georgia. Georgia is a 19.5-point favorite.
Georgia played UMass last week. You've heard of UMass?
Oh, yeah. I'm a fan.
They went up 7-0 on Georgia last week, and then they lost by a lot.
UMass, one of the tougher schedules of any SEC team this year.
But they got to host Missouri.
I saw a meme that was like teams that have played 2 SEC games against teams with a winning record
In the SEC.
in the SEC.
Yeah.
And it was like everybody
Yeah.
because they play in the SEC.
Yeah.
And then also UMass,
Yes.
but not Texas.
Yeah. Texas is the only SEC team that like hasn't played 2 SEC teams with a winning record.
Insane.
Insane.
But UMass has done it.
UMass, tougher schedule than Texas, literally.
Yeah, confirmed. I'll take Georgia.
Yeah, it will as well.
Georgia all around. Next up.
Georgia Tech beat Florida State, though.
Well, so did everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You said
Number 8, Tennessee at Vanderbilt. Tennessee is an 11-point favorite.
You were
this
right.
is- well,
You were right.
about Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Pavia.
They're checked out.
They're done.
I picked them last week. Cost me a point. I'll take Tennessee.
I will too.
Tennessee all around.
Oh, it hasn't gotten interesting
This
yet.
is when Vanderbilt does it, though.
Yeah, of course. No, they're done.
They're done.
All right.
Toast.
Nah. They had a good season.
Yeah. Thanks for playing.
It ended a month
Thanks
ago.
for coming out.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up. Number 15, South Carolina at number 12, Clemson. Clemson is a 2.5-point favorite. This is why we have rivalry.
This is why we do
Oh,
it.
yeah.
This is why we
Oh,
lace
yeah.
them up.
This
I
is
love these.
some playoff implications here.
Yeah. South Carolina has not performed well against Clemson.
No.
At least off the top of my head. It feels like every year I'm kind of rooting for them. Like, SEC.
Yeah.
And they always let us down. But this year is different.
Really?
South Carolina is going to beat Clemson
Go into Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina.
and win.
Wow.
Wow.
Beamer ball.
Let's go Sellers. Let's go Beamer.
Yeah, I'll take South Carolina.
Really? Clemson is dealing with some off the field stuff, I think. With the quarterback,
Sweeney?
maybe something like that.
It's called Dabo Sweeney's their coach.
That's it. Just they're all just sick of him. I think I got to go with Clemson.
All right. Tyler takes South Carolina.
Oh,
For what it's worth, I'll just put this out there. I do not know who Tyler picked. So
and we're not going to tell him this
I
week.
swear I did not look at who Tyler picked.
All right. Next up is Louisville at Kentucky. Not to be confused with the city of Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville is a 3.5-point favorite.
Old Kroger Field.
Kroger Field. Oh, man. I'm going to be honest. I don't know anything about Louisville. I don't know what they've done this season.
They're 7-4.
I know they're favored by 3 points. I think I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Kentucky at home, you say?
Yeah, me too.
I'll take Louisville.
So does Tyler.
Okay,
let's go,
okay. Let's go. Louisville.
That's going to make me nervous that I have this writing on Kentucky.
Kentucky at home, though, yeah, I don't know.
It's Kroger Field. I mean,
Yeah.
who wants to play at Kroger Field?
Not me.
Nobody. Nobody wants to go play there.
Kentucky doesn't even want
Yeah.
to most of the time.
Exactly.
Next up is Auburn at number 13, Alabama. Alabama,
Iron Bowl.
11.5-point favorite.
I guess I'll pick Alabama.
Auburn's no Oklahoma.
No, of course not.
I'll go Alabama.
Alabama all around.
Okay.
Florida at Florida State. Florida is a 14.5-point favorite.
They're going to win by more than that.
They're going to win by more than that. Not betting advice.
Florida all around. Okay, now we get juicy.
Oh, okay.
Oklahoma at LSU. LSU is a 6-point favorite.
There's no way Oklahoma can do this again. As we saw by Vanderbilt, you cannot beat Alabama and LSU in the same season. Therefore, give me LSU.
LSU at home at night. Got to go LSU.
I got Oklahoma.
Ooh,
Tyler has LSU.
boring.
Come on, Oklahoma.
I don't want to root for them anymore.
I'm done.
I'd
I'd rather root for Brian Kelly.
Yes, that's how bad it is.
Okay, next up is number 3, Texas at number 20, Texas A&M. Texas is a 5.5-point favorite. And Tyler did want me to tell you what he picked before you made your pick. He takes Texas, and he said, this is your chance to put your money where your mouth is.
That's some classic head games right there, and I will also take Texas.
You're taking Texas?
Absolutely.
Give me Texas A&M.
I'll take A&M. Who you rooting for?
I'll root for A&M.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All
No,
right.
no harm done, I guess.
I just feel like A&M.
At Kyle Field?
True. That's a great place to play. That's Kroger Field. Nobody wants to play there. Everybody wants to play at Kyle Field.
True.
But I still just do not believe in A&M at all. I don't think they're very good. I just gotta go Texas. I don't know. It's not.
This will be Texas' second SEC game against a team with a winning record.
There you go.
Wow.
All right. Well, sorry it didn't work, Tyler. You did your best.
I might have picked A&M if it wasn't for those head games.
Oh,
All right.
So you try to pull one over on me. Just make me angry instead.
you locked in now.
I'm locked in.
Okay. Last and certainly least, Nebraska at Iowa. Battle for the cornfields. Iowa is a 4-point favorite. Give me Nebraska.
Nebraska smacked somebody last week. Wisconsin, was it?
Yeah.
They do it sometimes.
They do it every once in a while. Yeah, I picked Wisconsin last week, and they let me down.
Mhm.
Is Nebraska bowl eligible?
Yes, as of last week, I think.
You got all the info you needed right there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's favored? Iowa
Yeah, by 4.
by 4.
And they're at home.
Yep.
Iowa is the least penalized team in the country.
Wow.
Those boys,
That's good coaching.
they just don't mess up.
Fundamentals.
That's coaching, yeah.
I'll take Iowa.
I will as well.
Wow. These are the kind of games that Nebraska makes me hate when I pick them.
You picked them?
Who Tyler?
Oh,
picked?
yeah, I'll pick them.
What
Yeah,
Tyler
I did. Iowa.
So it's all comes out of the Kentucky game.
Yes.
Is that the only one we picked differently?
I think so.
Oh, good lord.
I like how you think that I'm out of it. I got enough picks opposite you guys that I can.
Yeah, no, you could.
Nebraska gonna. That's
could
it.
be
That's the game right
Nebraska
there.
either seals the deal for you or puts you in your grave. Seals the deal either way, I guess.
there. Good or bad.
Seals the deal or seals the deal.
Oh,
right.
good luck. Oh,
Wow,
man.
what a slate!
Yeah.
What a slate. Yeah, that was one of the better ones of the year.
We were talking about this before we pressed record. You know, I'm a broken record on this, but man, if Missouri was playing Kansas last game of the regular season every year, it would fit with all these SEC teams playing their out of conference rival.
Yeah. You know, it would still be a fun game, obviously. Like both Missouri and Kansas have kind of like underperformed probably what their expectations were. Imagine Missouri and Kansas playing the first game of the season. Like, that would be intense with like still on top of the world. Nobody's lost a game yet.
Yeah.
That would be kind of scary, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I think I legitimately think we would win that game, but it'd still be just the stakes would be high.
The fact that we've played a few times now in basketball and haven't got to play in football, like, come on.
Come on. That's how football moves very slowly,
It's true. Yeah.
in a way.
I got to plan it out 10 years in advance.
Yeah.
I guess that's what makes it feel slow.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
That's it.
I think so.
Let me find my names. Special thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon: Britt, Treese, Ryan Demore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy, JD, Tim Keens, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Groffalo, Brandon Hanks, Matthew Tilley, Lewis Hernandez, Joshua Jacobson, Devontae, and Aaron Houlihan. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we love you. And we thank you. You can find this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next week after a win.